Ladies and gentlemen, the Raiders are practicing right now, and they have visits from former Pro Bowl players. A bunch of signings could be on the way. Plus, we have an update on Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't want to be negative. I want to be positive. My doctor told me I got to watch out on the cholesterol and the stress levels and the blood pressure. So I'm going to try to be more chill, a little more optimistic for my own health, but I cannot help but get real at the end of this video. So the Raiders have Divine Diablo, Robert Spillane at linebacker. Those are the projected starters, and they also have Luke Masterson, who came on the scene last year and wore the green dot, which is very important, meaning that he was getting the plays from Patrick Graham in his helmet, and he was able to coordinate with the defense and sort of get everybody organized. But the Raiders still feel like they need help at linebacker, and that is why they are hitting up free agent Jaylon Smith. He's working out with the Raiders right now. Keep in mind, this guy has been in the NFL Top 100 multiple times. He originally came out of Notre Dame and was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys and even made the Pro Bowl in 2019. But injuries have always plagued his career, even coming out of college. He was able to spend some time with the Giants, so he has some familiarity with Patrick Graham's system. But Smith seems to be a little healthier than usual. He was able to play 626 snaps with the Giants last year, picked up 60 tackles as well. You love to see that. The Las Vegas Review-Journal is claiming that this is more so the Raiders doing their due diligence, and we're not quite sure and we're not quite optimistic that he's going to immediately be signed. But I think the Raiders should grab this guy. They need help at linebacker. He's athletic, and it seems like he's back from injury. But overall, at training camp, several reporters are talking about the defense, how the defense looks better than last year. And one person who has to be special for the Raiders, this is a guy who has to ball out for the Raiders, and that is Marcus Epps. The Raiders paid him a 2-year contract at around $9 million in total. So when you look at the whole entire defense, Marcus Epps is actually the third highest paid player on the defense right now. So it's great to see Eddie Pascal talking about the fact that he's had some nice days since the pads came on. The Raiders need this guy to shine. And not only has Marcus Epps been shining, Max Crosby is obviously doing well. And apparently Robert Spillane and Divine Diablo, according to The Athletic, have played the run well. And Marcus Peters, the rookie Jacorian Bennett, Nate Hobbs, and cornerback David Long Jr. have made some plays in coverage. So you love to see that. The defense desperately needs to get better, and it seems like the Raiders have chosen to have some low investment players that have high upside, and it seems to be panning out right now. And we're getting some energy from the coaches. Mick Lombardi, the son of Michael Lombardi, who likes to go out there in the media and just defend Josh McDaniels all the time, does a great job at it, I will say. But Mick Lombardi, the offensive coordinator, was showing more energy. It was the most animated that people have seen him. And even Josh McDaniels was getting really animated as well, really pumped up with full padded practice happening. And apparently there are a lot of F-bombs. So you love to see that. Coaches getting after these players' ass, telling them they need to step up. And the Raiders' newest addition, Marcus Peters, made some plays. He finally got his first pick off of Jimmy Garoppolo. So Jimmy G, you better watch out when Peters is around. Hopefully that means that Peters is just balling out and it's not Garoppolo messing up. And here's the thing. I was going to get crazy today. I was going to be WiFiWillie today, but I got to keep the health in check and I got to chill out. But I cannot help but point out what happened today. And I think this is ridiculous, and I think this is a huge concern. You can try to polish the turd all you want, but at the end of the day, it is just a turd. And what has happened today is the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo left practice early. Now, we know he missed practice on a Saturday just last week. Apparently, it was a predetermined day off by the doctor, and now we have him leaving practice early, and apparently, it was a predetermined rep count, predetermined pitch count. He only had a select number of pitches in which he was allowed to practice today, according to the doctor. And yes, guys, I know Jimmy Garoppolo had surgery. I know he's still being eased back, but the first game against the Broncos is 40 days away. So you tell me, are you confident that this guy, Jimmy Garoppolo, can finish a 3-hour football game in 40 days when he is struggling to even finish practice today? I think this is something that you have to worry about. And you know what? I want one of these reporters to to actually ask Josh McDaniels a question that matters, and a question that would matter is to ask him straight up, when is the next predetermined day off for Jimmy Garoppolo? When is the next one? Because we don't know when these days off are, and it seems like it just spontaneously happens whenever Jimmy G misses practice, whenever he has to leave early. Oh, well, this is a predetermined day off, so don't worry about it. And it kind of just feels like they're using this whole predetermined thing to cover their ass, because the first game, like I said, is in 40 days, and the starting quarterback that you signed this year to be your number one QB to throw to Devontae Adams is not available to finish all of practice. And I just think that is cause for concern. I hope Aiden O'Connell does well. He got the brunt of the first team snaps under center after Jimmy G's exit, according to ESPN. And Brian Hoyer, the veteran, the guy who's going to be 39 years old next year, the longtime backup, closed out practice too, while Jimmy Garoppolo got his rest and had to leave practice a little early. And look, dude, it's getting to the point where Brian Hoyer, I think this guy's going to be the quarterback for the Raiders this year. Would that be that surprising with Jimmy Garoppolo's health problems? So I'm going to go ahead and try to buy a Brian Hoyer jersey right now. And so I'm on NFLshop.com trying to find a Brian Hoyer Raiders jersey, and apparently there are none available right now. So if Jimmy G's not ready to go in 40 days from now, they're going to have to pump these jerseys out real quick. We have these stories about certain plays that are made, which I mentioned to you earlier, that happened during training camp. But really, the biggest story, unfortunately, is Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'm kind of tired of this. I kind of want to talk about something else other than quarterback. But it continues to be something that lingers in the background. And there continues to be more stories, more situations where he's missing reps. And look, it would be one thing if this was Jimmy G's, second year with McDaniels and the Raiders. But Josh McDaniels admitted recently in my most recent video, you could check this out in an interview with Sports Illustrated, that the scheme fit between Jimmy Garoppolo and Josh McDaniels is a bit overblown, and that it was long ago and he only started 2 games with McDaniels and it was only for a little bit of time. So Garoppolo desperately needs to get familiar with Josh McDaniels' system. He desperately needs to get more reps with his starting wide receivers, because the game is right around the corner and you have every other team having their quarterback outside of Brock Purdy, who's also had some injury issues. You have almost every other quarterback in the NFL able to play all of practice and get their reps with their wide receiver. I'm going to try to be positive, but there's just certain things that I just cannot ignore. Like if Jimmy Garoppolo leaves practice, I am going to bring it up. How could you not bring that up? But hopefully, because McDaniels spoke to the media before practice, we didn't get reporters asking him questions. So hopefully, a reporter, next time they get the chance to speak to McDaniels, will ask him, when is Jimmy Garoppolo's next predetermined day off? When is it? And that way we can know if Jimmy Garoppolo is just waking up in the morning and not feeling great, and then they say, oh, today is a predetermined day off, or is it an actual predetermined day off from the doctors that was scheduled a long time ago? Honestly, I don't buy it. And that's perfectly fine for me to not buy it. And that's perfectly fine for the Raiders to not be 100% straight up about Jimmy Garoppolo's health, because you don't need to. And you don't want to give your opponents a competitive advantage by being transparent about the health of your quarterback. And look, we know the Raiders have not been transparent about Jimmy Garoppolo. We know that they hid the fact that he failed his physical. They sort of denied it, and then they hid that fact. And we found out months later after March that he did in fact fail his physical. Then we found out he had surgery. When they said they expected him to be healthy, we found out there was surgery that they did not tell us about until months later. And then we got the news that he passed his physical and he would be participating with no restrictions. And then we find out actually there are going to be some restrictions. He has predetermined days off. So it's been wishy-washy. It's not been straight up. It's not been transparent. And like I said, that's their right to not be transparent. But my main concern is, how are the Raiders going to win football games? And when you have a quarterback who is not healthy, and what it looks like right now, to say the very least, is that Jimmy Garoppolo is not 100% at all, not even close, this is going to make it difficult to beat Sean Payton and the Broncos week 1. And then we get more mixed messages. In the Sports Illustrated interview that I covered yesterday, McDaniels is trying to let the reporter know that Garoppolo is practicing with the receivers. Even after practice, he's getting those reps in. But then today, he's on a pitch count with limited reps. So why would you get extra reps yesterday and then have reduced reps the next day if it's predetermined? It sounds like he woke up the next morning. To me, it sounds like he woke up the next morning and didn't feel great. But we'll lower the blood pressure and get a little less stressed out from here forward. Unless there's news, we're not going to ignore it. We're not going to deny it. So make sure you subscribe to this channel if you have not yet for more Raiders content. Peace out. and I hope you have a good one.